What if what if it's not either or? What if where Jesus shows up a lot more of the time, maybe all the time, things are both and? We we have this way in ordinary everyday life of saying that it's common sense that you have to pick between options, that there's only enough energy or time or resource or care to go around for one thing or the other, right? You end up hearing conversations like, well, look, we can't take care of the needs or the problems of people in other countries far away. We have to solve all of our problems here locally in our neighborhood first. It's either or. Either you care about folks living through disasters or poverty, or whose homelands have been ravaged by war far away, or you care about your local fire department having enough money. It's one or the other. You'll hear folks say things like, "Well, we can't care about refugees until we take care of all of the veterans in our own country before we help somebody else." You hear church folks say things like, we can't support mission work somewhere else, or help a local community agency that's there to help with homelessness. We have to make sure we've got enough pipe cleaners and construction paper for Sunday school for us. We can't look out for other people. We have to look out for ourselves. It's one or the other. Except, what if it's not? What if even though all the conventional wisdom tells us it's in life there's one or the other, what if where Jesus shows up there are new possibilities and it's a both and? What if in fact Jesus has a way of making sure the people who were sure that they were going to get left behind, that they were going to be the ones who fell through the cracks, what if Jesus makes sure their needs are attended to, and also makes sure that everybody else's need is attended to as well? What if it's not either or, but both and? There's this really powerful story in the 5th chapter of Mark's Gospel. And the way it begins, it just seems sort of like the standard miracle story. Somebody comes to Jesus with a need. In this case, it's one of the local leaders of the synagogue in town, a guy by the name of Jairus, and his daughter is sick. And he has heard that Jesus has this power, that Jesus can heal people. And he summons Jesus. Jesus, please help me. My daughter is near the verge of death. Will you come and help? Jesus agrees, because that's how he does things, right? But along the way, as this big crowd is pushing in on him, there's this other woman in the crowd who has heard rumors about Jesus too. And she just thinks to herself, if I just touch the edge of his clothes, I don't mean to bother him or delay him. I'm not looking to cause a scene. If I just touch the edge of his clothes, I'll be healed. She's been suffering with bleeding for as long as Jairus' daughter has been alive. She's been bleeding for 12 years, and every doctor she's seen hasn't been able to help. She's only gotten worse. Now, in that scene, if you've got two needs and only so much time, that the clock is ticking on Jairus' daughter, right? It would seem conventional wisdom says, look, the one person asked politely, he's a respectable member of the community, he's a religious leader, he's a fine, upstanding person. Surely, Jesus should err on the side of helping out this respectable religious person's daughter. And this other lady, look, nothing against you, but you got to wait your turn in line. You got to get behind the other needs and wait your turn. She just reaches out and she touches Jesus, and instantly she's healed. And Jesus knows it. Jesus can tell something is up. And the moment it becomes clear what's happened, now Jesus is concerned, oh man, this woman who has broken a whole bunch of rules by reaching out and touching him in public, now he's got to do something to protect her, because everybody else could be mad at her for crossing all the taboo lines of touching a religious leader and a teacher in public, someone who she's not related to, all sorts of reasons that this is sort of a scandalous thing that's happened. Jesus makes it okay. Just, daughter, your faith has made you well. Jesus shows he's not upset. In fact, talks to her as though she's part of the family. There's been no boundary crossing. There's been no sin, no infringement, no trespass here. You're fine. You're okay. Meanwhile, of course, things have gone from bad to worse over at Jairus' house. And the poor girl dies. And messengers from the house come and tell Jesus and Jairus, don't trouble the teacher anymore. the girl has died, it's too late. It's an either-or situation, and this is just how things worked out. That poor woman who had just reached out to Jesus, whose name we don't have record of, it seems like her miracle came at the cost of help for Jairus' daughter. Because that's how we see things so often. It's either or. There's only enough energy, there's only enough time, there's only enough resource for one thing or the other. And you know as well as I do how we are wired. If we believe there's only enough to go around for my need and somebody else's, we have this way of going, well, I got to look out for mine first. I've got to make sure that the respectable person, I've got to make sure the religious person, I've got to make sure the important seeming person has their needs taken care of. And look, we don't mean any insult or injury or no offense, but the other people who slip through the cracks, they're just collateral damage. You know as well as I do how often that's our thinking. You don't mean to hurt anybody else, but just, sorry, there's not enough to go around. I got to take care of me. I got to take care of respectable religious people's needs. Jesus doesn't accept that logic. And even though it sure seems like the clock has run out and poor Jairus' daughter has died while this other woman has been healed, Jesus goes to Jairus' house, even though everybody's like, it's too late. There just wasn't enough miracle to go around. There wasn't enough of you to go around. Jesus goes. He goes upstairs to where the girl is still laying in her bed. And he calls to her in these beautiful words. We've actually got this record of the original Aramaic words, like the memory from somebody who was there in the room. Talitha kum, little girl, get up, child, arise. And she is restored to life. No worse for the wear, no less alive than the woman who's been healed from her sickness. She doesn't have to settle for less of a miracle. Jesus doesn't say, well, sorry, I don't have enough power. That lady took most of my resurrection power, my healing power, so I can only, bring her back, but she'll be in a coma, or she'll be, asleep like Sleeping Beauty. He raises her fully to life, because for Jesus, there isn't a scarcity of God's power. It isn't an either-or situation where Jesus shows up. Both and is the order of the day. Sometimes I wonder, why would the first followers of Jesus have held on to stories that made it into our Gospels? Why would a story like this be remembered? I mean, it's a neat miracle, but why all the tension in the middle? I think a piece of it is that where Jesus shows up, he wants us to understand that in God's reign, in God's economy, in God's way of doing things, we don't have to settle for, sorry, we can't help you, there's another need over here, there's just not enough to go around. Or we can't help refugees because we have to take care of veterans. Maybe it's not either or, maybe it's both and. Who says it's one or the other? We can't care about people who are victims of a natural disaster half a world away. We have to take care of our own local communities. Maybe it's both and. Maybe where God's reign happens, there's abundance, there is enoughness. Maybe not enough for all of our wildest wishes. Maybe not for everybody to have a pony and a convertible in their driveway and a summer home somewhere on an island. But there's enough. Jesus' power creates new possibilities where we hadn't seen any before. And because you and I know the story all too well, that the well-to-do people, or the people who are well-known celebrities, the people who are seen as fine, respectable, upstanding citizens, they're the ones who get help, and somebody else then sort of falls through the cracks because their funding got cut, or their needs weren't seen as important. They were seen like they were expendable or just collateral damage. That's not how it worked with Jesus. Jesus has this way of always lifting up the lowly, and the people who'd been told too many times before, sorry, no offense, but you slipped through the cracks this time, telling them, nope, you matter as well. Even prioritizing them above the big-name local religious professionals like Jairus and his family. Everybody has healing, but Jesus has this way of making sure the people who are used to falling through the cracks know that they matter, know that they belong. Jesus isn't pitting one person over the other, but Jesus is showing by prioritizing, by attending to the needs of this nameless woman and making sure she's okay before he moves on to Jairus' house. In God's reign, by God's power, there's enough. There's enough here in this garden too. It would be foolish. It would be silly to say, well, there's only enough rainwater. There's only enough sunlight to hit the geraniums. We can't afford to give it to the lilies. There's abundance. There's enough, right? This is a space where there is plenty of sunshine. There's plenty of area for them all to get rain to drink. I wonder if we dared to believe that where God is present among us. Jesus makes sure the people who are used to falling through the cracks, the people who are used to being told, sorry, nothing personal, but you just don't matter enough to get the primary help. You don't matter enough for us to attend to, sorry. Those folks know they are beloved. Those folks have their needs attended to as well. And that we don't have to pit my needs against somebody else's as either or, but maybe in the reign of God, it's both and. Everybody's needs can be attended to. Everybody counts. Everybody matters. I wonder what that would do to the way we lived out this week. If instead of me starting the week with, sorry, I only have enough care for one or two things, and it's going to be the things that are directly affect my life. Sorry, everybody else, that you have to take the back seat. I wonder what would happen if instead I started with the assumption, the things that matter, there will be enough time, energy, resource all around. Maybe we need to get all hands on deck, but that everybody can be attended to, that every need is important, and that nobody can just be written off or allowed to slip through the cracks in the reign of God. So maybe it means that you and I pay attention. Who are the people we've been missing lately? Who are the people that you haven't heard from or seen? Who are the people who have just gotten quiet and sort of faded back into the woodwork that you and I can reach out to? Who are the people that you know are struggling maybe, and it would be easy to go through another week just attending to your own stuff, but take the time, reach out, check in, talk with them. What are the needs that maybe don't make the headlines in our community but still are really, really important? Where are the people maybe far away whose needs or stories are things you don't even know much about? And maybe the first step is learning, oh my goodness, there's a world full of need beyond my doorstep, beyond my neighborhood, beyond my community or my local newspaper. Maybe I need to listen and pay attention to the needs of people whom God loves all around the world. And instead of saying there's only so much to go around, so I got to look out for me first, or got to look out for, church needs first, maybe Jesus would say there's enough to go around, all around. What will happen this week if you and I change our thinking from either or scarcity thinking to both and abundance? Imagine you might have the beauty of a garden like this. It has more than just one kind of plant, more than one kind of flower, but an awful lot of beautiful diversity in it. God does it here. Can I trust that God will do it in your and my life this week? Let's see what it looks like. Join us on Sunday for more conversation.